So, good evening, friends. Meeting again with the yesterday's session, that is the chronic case taking, and we have to go ahead with understanding of the few important top points related with the human nature. In last lecture, we have finished first the aphorism number 98, and where he explained 97, where he explained there are certain types of people who never gives you detailed history because of their nature. Either they want to hide it, either they are secretive, either they are reserved, either they feel ashamed to tell all those things, either because they are indolent. There are many reasons because of which you never get the detailed case. And then in such types of cases, you have to be very cautious and ask details to the patient so that you can furnish the come and complete the picture of the disease. And then he explains about the aphorism number 99, 98, and in which few important characteristics of the homeopathic physicians which he mentioned to furnish the case and to understand that patient, he requires certain specific quality, out of which one which we have discussed, that he has special circumspection, demands special circumspection. Circumspection means he should be cautious what to take and what not to take, where he should be very cautious regarding those who are the loquacious personalities or who are hypochondriac personalities, where what is exactly should be taken, grasped from the patient. That is very important thing one must understand, and that part we have discussed in yesterday's lecture. The second part, which we were discussing regarding the tact, and these are the things which are very essential. Tact is nothing but the communication skill, a skill to develop how to get communicated with each and every variety of the people. Whether the patient is child, whether the patient is youngster, whether the patient is of adult age, whether the old age, everyone you have to be you should be a very good communicative with them. And these thing which you have to develop. So how will you develop this? Yesterday we have discussed, many people have discussed or explained their own views how to go ahead. Yes, definitely, those are the real ways. First important thing, as Karuna, she has rightly said that the smile is very important thing. No doubt, smile is very necessary. Yes, it is one thing which gives the enthusiasm to the patient. So that is one important thing. But as soon as the patient enters in your consulting room, inside your cabin, the first important thing is to greet. Yes, definitely. But it should come right from your heart. It should not come from your brain. This is the difference. What do you mean by coming from the heart and coming from the brain? Coming from the brain is it is as good as that it has been someone said it should be done, and it is a special reason, that's why you are greeting. It should not look like that it has been mentioned or fit in your brain and that's why it is. It should come right from your heart. It should come as patient enters, and that is very important. That greets, that immediately reflects to the patient, and patient feels, yes, doctor is very good. He shows the sympathy towards him. The basic thing is that patient is not coming to you for the purpose of taking homeopathy, allopathy, antipathy, or Ayurveda, etc. First important thing which is required by the patient is sympathy. No other pathy works unless the sympathy is provided. So that is very important. The patient should feel, yes, someone is sympathetic towards me. That is very important feeling. This is too important. And that reflects in your smile, that reflects in your tone, that reflects in your greet. So that with this, you should touch the patient. That is first important entity one must go for. and one should not miss those. So this is first important thing already we have discussed in yesterday's lecture, that how one should get communicated. Second important thing is that you at least you must know that whenever you are working in Indian population, Indian country, at least 2, 3 languages you should be familiar with. Your native language, either Marathi, either Hindi. Very occasionally we are English ones, but at least 3 languages, very important. If you are practicing in Gujarat, you should be must have a hold on Gujarati also. But at least 3 languages you must know. The language is one of the important entity which matters a lot in case taking, which matters a lot in communicating. Because the way you put the question, patient immediately starts reflecting. You look toward the patient and accordingly you start using your language, and that reflects, that gives a comfort to the patient, and then patient talks in a fluent way. And this is what is desired by you. Because you require the information, you require the data, you require the characteristic data, and that data is only available when patient is opened enough. If the patient is not open, you never get the case. And that's why it is too important tool to get communicated with the patient. So second important point which is there is to have a control over 2, 3 languages, and it should be of a proper sense. So when you are talking with the peoples, for example, whenever I used to practice, or we used to conduct the camps at a very remote areas, the language is rather different. The language is not as polite as we used to talk in cities. It is absolutely different. The village language is absolutely different. Then when you are dealing with them, you have to come down. Most important thing is that you remove your ego. That is most important thing. You should not keep your ego that you are someone special and you are talking with the patient who is at a down level. This difference will not make a communication. So patient will not come up. Here you have to come down and you have to match that wavelength. That if that wavelength is matched, then you will definitely gain the confidence of the patient, and then you immediately get what you desire from the case. So how to come down, how to remove the ego? Because as we go ahead by learning, day by day, we impose more and more ego inside us. We were in the state of id when we are children or infant. We are so happy because the way we feel we were doing, but as we start developing, the identity develops, the ego develops. Gradually, it goes on increasing day by day. Then you goes to the school. Again, an ego develops because you learn from first standard, then second to third, then up to 10th. Then you enter into the junior college. Then you take the degree of 12th. Then you go for medical field again. So what do? You are imposing more and more ego. What is the purpose of education? Purpose of education is not to inflate the ego. The purpose of education is to develop a super ego. What is the purpose of the education is to develop a super ego. Super ego is the thing where you can understand or you can correlate id with the ego, and you can match that, you can maintain that balance, because of which your ego comes down and you remain at the ground level. Your feet always touches the ground. And if it is so, then it is quite easy to communicate with anyone. So when child is there, you should be a child. If the youngster is there, you should be youngster for them. If the adult is there, you should be an adult for them. So you change according to the situation, you change. The change is required in you, not in the patients. It should be in you. You change. And that is a very, very important aspect. So you should able to mold yourself according to the situation is the best thing which one has to grab, one has to develop, with which you can go ahead, with which you can develop a good communication skill. And this gives you a lot of things in your practice. You just be a small child with the children and just talk with them. And then they will reflect something, then they will laugh at you, they will make mischievous things in front of you, then they talks with you, and then you grab the things with which you can identify what they are, what type of they are, what they are reflecting. Ultimately, you have to prescribe for that child, and you know that child, the identity of child. The mother will not going to tell you the identity. If you ask, how is your child? No mother will say, my child is so bad. He is very obstinate. No one will going to say bad things. Generally, it reflects only the good thing. But which you can get when you are able to mold yourself and you can make a friendship with them. And this is a good thing when you deal with the pediatrics. So pediatric consultation is a rather important part where the person plays a very important role, and to get yourself as a pediatric, that is a very important thing. So you talk with them with their similar language. You can have a fun of them so that they can make a fun of you, and then you immediately get attached with them. There are certain tasks to get familiar with the small children. What they likes more? The small children who comes to your OPD, they like sweet pills. You offer some placebos, keep it in with yourself, and just give 4 pills, and just ask them how it, whether they likes it. They always likes it, and they ask more, and then you start communicating. Can you tell me your name? They start talking. Then they are very easily explains whatever you ask for them. These are the things which you have to utilize. That gives you a lot of data which is necessary to identify that child, whether that child is Sina child, whether that child is Chamomila child, whether that child is arsenic child, or any other child, Sanicula child. That you can find it out on the basis of all those things. And those are very much necessary. So communication skill is a very important entity in the practice, and out of which this is one thing when you deal with the pediatric. There was little bit disruption because of the some problem. So very important thing is that you should, first important thing, get familiar. Second important thing, you should perceive the things. So in pediatric practice, basically, you should develop a keen eye and perceive the thing. You should be very watchful to them. Just observe what do they do. Whether if they are infant, just observe what do they do. What reactions they give. If the child is kept down, what reaction it gives. How they behave in your OPD. Whether they sits in one position, whether they moves here and there, whether they lies down, whether they get frightened in front of you, whether they give looks directly towards you, eye to eye contact, or whether they hides or they evades the looks from you, whether they want to remain in your consulting room or whether they attempts to go out, escape. Everything, just be watchful. What do they do? What they are observing? There are many children who used to go on touching the things. They comes and touch different things. They are there on your desk. They touches everything, and they don't never likes that. They only wants to touch that. So these are the things which guides you many things. These are the things which gives you directly a rubric. These are the things which directly finds it out. Yes, touch things impel to. You can observe. Carried desires to be carried. You can observe. The carried desires to be carried constantly. You can observe. Carried desires to be only during the curve. It is there. Carried desires to be crop only. The rubric is there. All those things are observable things. So perceiving plays a very vital role in cases of the infants, children. There are many children who comes and they are so restless, they cannot sit in one place. And one word they talks again and again. They talks with their mother. I am bored. I am bored. Let us go home. Let us go home. These are things which comes again and again from their mouth. These are the people who are very happy only with the mobiles and the games and the cartoon networks. These are things which you can observe with them. And this is what is called as a perceiving, another part of communication skill. So you deal with them, you talk about their interests, and then they are communicating with you. You ask them, oh, how is the Doraemon? Do you like the Doraemon? And then they start, yes, yes. Then they feel he also likes that. They feel, yes, he is also interested in that. So they start talking to you. So these are the texts which you have to use. So this is the way how to get communicated. If the youngster is there, so when you deal with them, then you have to ask certain things which are common to the youngsters. So when you are talking with them, then you must ask regarding the all those Facebook entities, WhatsApp entities, or basically youngster, the Instagram, and how much they are familiar with that, how much likes do you get, all those things. Just start talking, and then they open up. Very easily they get open. Then you get what you desire. The interest of the persons are very important. Second important thing, always say good about them. Never say bad words about them. Always say good things about them. Once you say good things about them, then they feel proud. They feel, yes, someone have at least talked good about me. And then they start, they feel yes, they should start talking to you. So that greeting good and talking good about them makes a difference. Never use the negative words in front of them. Always use, yes, whatever you are telling is very correct. This is very important. Whatever is you are telling is very correct. I want, just tell me more. I want more detail. Yes, you are going on right path. These are the words which helps. Yes, whatever you are telling is very, very, very correct. I'm expecting that only. These are the things which matters a lot, which guides you to the patient to detail more. And these are the things which you have to utilize. Third important thing, when you are starting the case, yesterday only I told you that you have to explain the importance of homeopathic case taking and detailing prior to the case taking. And then they will ask you certain questions. Why it is so much of necessary? Then it is a time to tell them little bit about homeopathy. You explain them what is there in homeopathy and starts chatting. Sometimes that chat itself is sufficient to get communicated with that fellow. He will ask you all those things. Then why other doctors never gives me so much of time and you have given so much of time, all those things. And that's all. Then you start talking with them and then it opens up the discussion. And that discussion led that fellow into explaining his nature. Ultimately, what you want? You want understanding the nature of that specific individual. So there are many keys with which you can enter into the case. There are many keys. So these are the few things. Sometimes patient comes and you take his all the details, preliminary data, and then you ask, what is your problem? And he starts narrating. Doctor, what has happened? I don't know. Since last 5, 6 months, I'm having very much stress, and because of which there is always a chest pain. Finished. He has given you a key. What is the key? You directly enter. What is your stress? It is a key. Don't wait that on the case paper it will reach to the mental aspect and then you will ask about it. No, it is a key to enter into the mind. On the first sentence only he has explained there is a stress. So what it's a second question should be automatically, what is your stress? Explain in detail. Second important thing, at the same time tell him that whatever you are going to tell, it will be remain confidential. So don't worry about that it will be disclosed, but tell me it clearly so that I can find it out the right solution for it. So that is a simple thing. And many times patient talks it in the first or few sentences and you get the key. To enter into the case taking, you require such types of keys. They, there are some people who talks like that. There are some people who talks like that. Doctor, there was some problem going at my home, and because of which I was a little bit disturbed, and I started this problem. Finished. He has given again one more key. You must ask, what is the problem? What problem has led you towards such a disorder? These are the very essential things in your practice, and one should not miss all those. So communicating is the thing which you have to develop. For that purpose, my suggestion is that to read more and more, and not only the books of curriculum, go out of the box, read many books, literature you read. And once you read the literature, you learn a lot. You learn the man, you learn the human being, you learn the human nature. And once you grab this nature, then it becomes very easy to communicate with anyone. There are some persons who comes to your OPD and they are very interested in literature. Then you must have a little bit knowledge about literature so that you can start communicating about literature. And then they opens, they starts communicating, they starts explaining, and these things happens. So this is too important. So communication skill is a thing which you have to develop. You have to start reading the human beings. When you are watching television, you are watching the TV series, you are watching the movies, just apply homeopathy over there. Just find it out. If any serial you are watching, what is the remedy of this hero? What is the remedy of that villain? Just apply, correlate homeopathy. Just watch what he is doing, what she is doing. Narrate something. Is there any rubric you can prepare from that? That gives you a sense of using homeopathy everywhere. And it is the best way to enter into the homeopathic case taking. And that's why the next point which he has utilized over there is knowledge of human nature. And this knowledge of human nature you can gain from many sources. And for that purpose, you should be able to attached with many human. So get familiar with variety of human beings. Don't consider they are of not my level and etc. Forget about those things. Forget about your ego first. Once you remove your ego, you can get attached with anyone. And this is what is needed over there. So to understand a thorough nature of the human being, you should be able to get communicate with everyone. And then only you can get the thorough knowledge about the human nature. And then next quality which he mentioned over there, caution in conducting the inquiry. Caution. Caution because we must know the social norms. We should not able to ask directly certain questions. If you feel that certain question you have to ask, then which can disturb or which can hurt the patient, sometimes it happens. And always, that's why whenever you put certain types of questions, you first prepare the questions, make a habit how to ask the question. So generally, if you want to ask regarding the personal questions to the patient or regarding sexual sphere, then you first tell them, uh, make a sentence. Please don't get angry. I want to ask something which is essential for my case taking to understand you, and then you put a question. This is too important. Me generally, when I talk in Marathi, I used to tell them, राग मागू नका पण मला एक विचारायचं तुम्हाला, ते फार महत्वाचं आहे म्हणून तुम्हाला विचारते. And then you ask the question. This is too important. This is a caution which you have to utilize. Because if you put them directly, they think why doctor is asking such question. There are varieties of individuals who are present in front of you. You don't know their nature. And for that purpose, the caution is always required. And this is what he is explaining. Caution in conducting the inquiry and the patience in eminence degree. Last quality, patience in eminent degree. What is the patience? Patience regarding everything. First patience is listening. If you want many female patients in your OPD, then you should be a good listener. That is the important quality which you have to do. And for listening, what is required is the patience. So if you want patience, you should not be impatient. That is the first important thing. Patience of an eminent degree. Very important word, sentence which he has utilized. Yes, listening quality is very important. And when you listen, just go on observing how the person is talking. Patient should feel that you are really listening. Patient should feel that you want to understand his nature. Patient should feel that you want to understand his problem. And if he feels that, then automatically there is a change from the negative to the positivity in the patient's nature. That is a reflection which happens in patient's nature. Ultimately, that is nothing but the dynamic effect which happens at the level of a patient, which happens before giving the medicine. The deviation from the disease state to the healthy state starts right from there. But it requires a lot of patience on the part of physician. If you keep patience, the way patient is narrating, you should not get disturbed. Whatever the patient is telling, just listen. Ask accordingly. Sometimes it happens that many a times they repeat the same question again and again. You don't get disturbed immediately. Just listen first. Tell them properly. Answer them properly. If you keep such types of patients in your practice, you will definitely get ample patients. And these are the qualities which are needed to get a thorough case from the patient. And Hahnemann wants, if you want to fulfill the complete picture of the disease, these qualities you have to born with either or you have to develop with yourself, and which you can learn by learning the human beings. So get attached with many human beings, talk with them, communicate with them, forget your ego. Don't keep it in, don't make it interfere with any relation. And then you will understand the real nature of the human being. And one more entity which I always ask my students to read more and more regarding the literature. That's why I used to put a daily one message in the morning, early morning message. Many of my patients, they greet me as doctor. We never read rest of the thing, but we are waiting for your message in the morning because we have learned how to live in the life. Many patients greets me on there. So these are the things. This is a one of the important method of getting communicated with your patients. The social media is a very important entity with which you can get communicated with your group of patients. And these are the things which you have to take into consideration when dealing with the patient, and then you get a real furnished picture of the patient. So we have discussed all the qualities from this aphorism number 98, which are necessary to furnish the clear picture of the patient's nature so that we can prescribe. I think that's all for today. We'll conclude today. If any queries are there, we can have a discussion for 2-3 minutes, or otherwise I will finish the today's meeting. Any query, any question?
सर क्वेश्चन तो नहीं है, लेकिन सर इट्स रियली वेरी अमेजिंग। बहुत सारी चीजें जो हैं हम यूजुअली बैठे होते हैं, हमारे जहनों में नहीं होती हैं, आपने आज बताई तो वो सामने आ गई। और अब ये इंशाल्लाह हमारी केस टेकिंग में आसानी होगी बहुत सारी चीजों में। यूजुअली जो कंफर्ट जोन की आपने बात की, और परसीविंग द पेशेंट की आपने बात की, और नेगेटिव वर्ड की आपने बात की, ये यूजुअली हमसे गलतियां हुई हैं पहले। तो ये सब चीजें, ह्यूमन नेचर की आपने बात की कि उसको सबको और सबके लेवल पे आके सबकी बातें सुननी, ये सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज थी कि अगर बच्चा है तो आपने उसी के उस पे सर मेरे पास मेरे फ्रेंड की बेटी आई थी, शी इज 13 years old विद ओवेरियन सिस्ट, और वो बिल्कुल कोई बात नहीं कर रही थी, टोटली साइलेंट। एक तरफ उसकी मदर बैठी हुई थी और दूसरी तरफ उसका फादर बैठा होता। तो आई फील कि शायद वो फादर की वजह से कुछ हुआ है। तो मैंने उसको कहा, मेरा दोस्त है, कि तुम जरा नमाज पढ़ के आ जाओ, टाइम हो रहा था, मैंने कहा तुम जरा चले जाओ। तो द मोमेंट वो गया तो मैं आई सॉ अ रिलैक्सेशन ऑन द फेस ऑफ चाइल्ड। और फिर उसकी माँ कहने लगी कि ये देखें, ये तो घर का खाना नहीं खाती, शी इज ऑलवेज यूज बाहर का जो होता है ना जंक फूड। तो आई सेड कि हाँ, ये बिल्कुल नॉर्मल बात है अगर ये जंक फूड खाती है। द मोमेंट मैंने ये कहा तो वो बच्ची उसके बाद मजीद कंफर्ट जोन में आई, और फिर उसने मुझसे बात करनी शुरू कर दी कि मैंने उसका साथ दिया ना, उसकी माँ की बात को टोटली वो करके। तो ये सब चीजें सर, और आज जो आपने बताई बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट है।
Okay, thank you everyone. So these are the things with which you have to go ahead and start reading many things. That is a very important message for all of you. So make a habit of reading. That is very important when you deal with the homeopathy. So that's all for today. Thank you, and we'll meet tomorrow with the next session, next aphorism number 99. Thanks a lot.